Hi, I'm Tony Fowle. This is just one video in a series of tutorial videos showing how to use my motorcycle setup software, which you can see more details of on my website at www.tonyfowle.com.
One of the more useful features of this program is the Wholebike trim. But before looking at that, let's load in the data that we used in the saving the project video tutorial. Let's load it in from the master data screen. We'll get the project file. We call that project and tutorial video. And let's load in the case 2 from this one, the one where we had the 150 spring. So we just double click and that data is loaded throughout the project. Now let's click on the Wholebike trim screen and we can see this was the rear suspension that we had in that project that we'd saved. And we've now got the data. We can show here all of the data for the current project that we're actually using in the Wholebike screen. Let's close this and return to the Wholebike screen. We can now see the trim or attitude of the bike and a variety of loading conditions. Here we have calculated numeric values for the rear sag and fork sag. The fork sag is measured as we would actually measure in reality, which is along the fork legs. The rear sag is the sag where we can measure the ride height directly above the rear wheel spindle as our reference. This is a static load on the front and rear wheels. This gives us our load distribution. In this case, because these are equal, it's 50-50. We've got our rake angle 23 degrees, trail, pitch change. And this at the moment is being shown in our reference position, the position from which we've entered in all the coordinates and other measurements, which is the position where the suspension is fully extended and the tires just touching the ground. So in our reference position the pitch will be 0. The centre of gravity height, loaded centre of gravity height 650 millimeters, and the wheelbase here. If we click on this, the static load, it now shows us what's happened to the front and rear suspension, and we can get an idea of how much the centre of gravity's moved, and we can see that it's pitched towards the front. Here a pitch towards the front is regarded as positive. Okay, so it's actually pitched 0.8 degrees towards the front. We can see that the wheelbase and centre of gravity height has also changed, along with the front and rear load distribution. That's changed slightly because of the pitch angle of the bike. We can also look at the case for braking and acceleration. Let's look at braking. Okay, we can specify here a different deceleration expressed in G's. By default this comes up as 1G, but if we wanted to see what happened, for instance, if we were braking in the rain, maybe 0.7 G might be our maximum in that case. We change that, press the calculate button, and we can see the reduced dive and the differences in the load distribution on the tires and the different sag at each end, etc. Okay, with the acceleration we have two options here. Acceleration with anti-squat, which is the realistic value that we get on the real motorcycle. This other one, the acceleration with no anti-squat, is not a realistic case because we can't actually set the bike up to have no anti-squat without changing other parameters. But it's useful just to see what the squat would be more for educational purposes. So if we click on that, we start with a 1G acceleration. We can see how the back sags under acceleration. If we actually have the realistic case for the data that's entered in on this particular project, we'd have a certain amount of anti-squat, and we can see that the squat at the back is less. Again, we can change the acceleration value to whatever we want. If we go back to the static load position, here we can enter in a lean angle in degrees, and this will give us the sag for when we're the steady state sag when we're in a steady state cornering condition. So let's just put in 45 degrees here, for example, press the calculate button, and we can see the increased sag that's due to the cornering loads. But this can also be applied under braking and so forth. Here it's just warning us that the front forks have bottomed out. Okay, we've reached the limit, because with this braking and with this lean angle, in practice we wouldn't be braking with 1G when we're leant over at 45 degrees, but if we were, it's calculated that the front fork will be fully compressed. It'll be more likely with 1G it'll only be a very small lean angle, or we generally be doing that upright. The plot button leads us to a screen which plots the loads, these particular values here, the front and rear sag and the load on the tires, etc., over the full range of deceleration under braking and acceleration, over the full range of accelerations from 0 to the limit where the machine would loop. For instance, if we were braking and we put in a very high value of deceleration here, let's try 2G, which is far higher than we'd achieve in practice, and we'd expect the bike to do a stoppie that would just simply result in the bike looping unless the rider released the brake. If we calculate on there, we find we get a warning. The motorcycle will loop with these parameters, and the acceleration braking value is limited to 1.0, well, nearly 1.09. Okay, that would be the limit before the bike would just totally loop unless the rider released the brakes. So in this case, the braking when we plot it will only be plotted up to this maximum value, from 0 to this value. Okay, so on the plot screen we've got several different parameters that we can access from these tabs up above. Here we're looking at the braking case, and we're looking at the front and rear sag. The sag in the forks is in blue, and the compression of the rear springs, or the sag at the rear of the machine, is shown in red. Okay, as we brake, load comes off the rear until the rear suspension's topped out, which is this case here, and then of course levels out at 0. And here load is transferred onto the front wheel as the brake. The greater the amount of braking, the greater amount of load is transferred onto the front, and so the greater sag we get on the front wheel. And we can just simply toggle between the braking case and the acceleration case. Okay, this is the case where we're accelerating. Now we've got the anti-squat is in here, which is why we don't see a huge increase in sag, because the anti-squat is limiting that, but we're still transferring load off the front wheel, and so the sag at the front decreases down almost to 0 at the limit of looping. Here we can see the load on the front and rear tires. We're still looking at the acceleration case, so this is the load on the front tire decreasing as the acceleration increases. This is the load on the rear increasing as we accelerate. In the braking case, we'll see that those swap around. The front load increases as we brake harder, and the load on the rear decreases as we brake harder. Okay, again plotted up to when the load on the rear becomes 0. Any deceleration after that means that the rear will just lift up and loop over the front. Here we can see the variation in rake angle under braking. Because of the compression of the force, we can see that it's decreasing. The reason for this kink here in the curve, the sudden change of slope in the curve, is if we refer back, note that that occurs at a braking G of about 0.38. If we come back to the front sag curve, we can see that that is the point where the rear suspension tops out. The line in blue is just simply our starting value. Okay, in our reference position the rake angle was 23 degrees. This is showing what it is in the loaded position and under various braking. Acceleration, the opposite occurs. Here we've just got a smooth curve with no kink in it, because we haven't got the situation where either the front forks or the rear suspension is topped or bottomed out. Here likewise we see the variation in trail, which follows pretty much the variation in the rake angle. Again, we've got the double slope caused by the topping out of the rear suspension. And again, if we look at the pitch angle, here we're looking under braking, so the pitch angle being positive to the front increases as we're braking and the front fork compresses. Again, there's a kink in the curve here which is due to the rear suspension topping out. This shows us the variation in wheelbase, with the blue line being our reference starting value, and we can see that that decreases with braking, and we can look at the acceleration case and we see that that increases.
Well, that's it for now. To make sure that you don't miss any more of these tutorial videos on the motorcycle setup software, I suggest that you tick the like button on this one and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Motor Chassis. For more information about the suspension setup software and my book on chassis design, I suggest you visit my website at www.tonyfole.com. Thanks for watching.